November 2023 update. Angel and Z Radio is now operating under the name of Living Proof New York. Living Proof will be a fresh perspective and approach to New York City graffiti and its related subcultures. Issue 4 of Living Proof magazine is now available on our Patreon and online shop, featuring Mint and Surf PPP, Wiki, Kayla Barnett, M1, and Cajun BTM. Issue 4 runs for the entire month of November and will not be rerun afterwards. Issues of Living Proof magazine are sent to all our Patreon members on the Living Proof magazine tier. Patreon members also gain access to any monthly products we put out, our growing archival section, and our content library with episodes, written interviews, film projects, and bombing videos. New website is now live, livingproofnewyork.com.
You are listening to Living Proof Radio, a radio show and magazine supported by Art Primo, a graffiti shop like no other that has been proudly serving the community from New York to Seattle and beyond. Mops, ink, paint, sketchbooks, markers, and much, much more. Artprimo.com. The highest level.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so funny enough, now that you say that about the whole jiu-jitsu thing, there was this, you might be familiar, but for the sake of just the intro, there was this martial artist, Rickson Gracie.
Yeah, I'm aware.
And he would do the Vale Tudo fights, no weight class, no, like, very little rules.
Right.
No, sometimes, like, very often, no gloves, just pretty gnarly. And there was like a huge element of unknown to it. And to prepare for these unknown situations where you don't know who your enemy is or what they're going to even know when it's like style versus style and like you have no idea. Funny enough, like he would do a lot of the breathing, diaphragmatic breathing. I was watching your Thrasher thing, and it was like you were doing the Nally breathing, where you bring in the stomach, and I never knew what the name of that was. I just knew of it as like that's the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu breathing, where you sit there and you almost like hyperventilate, but then you can slow it down, rinsing the organs and doing all that. Right. So. How did you get into that?
Well, oddly enough, Josh from Clockwork Jiu-Jitsu, he got really into yoga. I think I was just talking, and I was like, I always, like, I can suck my stomach in. He's like, dude, it's not even that hard. He's like, it took me like 2 months to learn. And then so he's just like, all you got to do is just whatever, like sucking your stomach and like lean over and just kind of figure it out. And once you figure it out, you have it. So it was kind of weirdly through jiu-jitsu that I learned it from Josh. And I think originally I saw it, what you're talking about, that footage of like in the 90s or whatever, of him doing it on the beach or something. Yeah. And I just remember, like, what the fuck is that? It looks crazy. If you've never seen anything like that, especially when that video was around. So yeah, I learned it through Josh, actually.
So you started doing it. Was that your introduction into like meditation, yoga, or any of that stuff? Or
no, I mean, I think it was like it all started from like Wim Hof kind of, and I was like, oh, there's this guy named the Iceman, and it was before like how he's big, how he's turned into this huge thing now. But he was just like, oh, the Iceman. And so I think it was just like learning how to do that first, and then just like kind of exploring. And I think what happened was I like did an online course of Wim Hof, and like I think I like got done with that, and then I did the next online course, and then I was like, oh fuck, if I do like one more I can get certified. And then but like it was kind of like a Ponzi scheme in a weird way, because like every year or every 3 years you had to go back and like re-up. And you like, I think there was one point where it was like, it was pretty inexpensive, all considering like flying to Europe, and you'd go to like his winter Poland house, and like they would teach you, and I was like ready to do it. And then I think I just got like really intimidated by the flights and like making the bus time. Anyway, so that's how I got into all of that.
Doesn't Wim Hof has to do with like
Tomo?
And you use like ice and stuff. You use temperature.
So Tomo is a Himalayan ritual, and they go out with wet blankets at night, and they dry off the towels, and it's like whoever dries the most towels, I forget what they get or what it is, but they go in the Himalayas and they control their temperature, in the fucking cold Himalayas. And yeah, they just dry towels. But that's where it comes from, his thing, though he says it's not. But I mean, if you like do a little bit of research on Wim Hof, he's like, he transcribed a bunch of Sanskrit books and stuff to whatever language he said, not Danish, he's Dutch, so
he learned it from somewhere else too.
Yeah. I mean, but he's like a very like, he's a student of yoga.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes from.
Yeah. So many things come from yoga. I mean, martial arts comes from yoga.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, like it was like yoga is one of the first, and it was like kind of like monks who would try to make movements because they kept falling asleep while meditating. So they started doing like essentially like moving meditation, which then turned into
Tai Chi or something.
Yeah, and then before you know it, there's like whole martial arts things. But in terms of like the breathing and meditation in your life, how did you kind of adopt this as like someone who is primarily known, especially like in terms of like physicality as a skateboarder? Like that's kind of what you're doing. How did you start doing that? And did it have anything to do with skating? Would you even apply it to skating?
I tried, just like kind of like mind over matter type of thing. I think the other thing with Wim Hof is like you really need like the cold immersion to really get the like focus and benefit. But I didn't really have that component. I mean, at one point I could like take like a 5-minute shower, cold shower in New York in the wintertime and be like kind of fine. But that was like the closest thing. I didn't have like an ice tub or anything like that. But no, I don't know if it like really there wasn't any crossover. It was just more curiosity, if anything.
Yeah. How do you think it affected different aspects of your life just that didn't have to do with skating?
Oh, I think it like everything was for the better.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not that I got smarter, but like definitely look at the world different. I think it's more that Wim Hof was like the gateway drug to then like going in and like getting more interested in yoga and reading like what's the book called, The Sages of Patanjali, and just like kind of just understanding or getting a better understanding of yoga for more. Yeah, getting an understanding of yoga that's not so like whitewashed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like really like getting the other aspects than just like the physicality of it.
Yeah, I mean yoga is like a spiritual practice. It's also like has a lot to do with, I feel like, consciousness. Like there's a lot of like the Vedas talk about talk about yoga. A lot of like Taoist and Buddhist things also have to do with yoga, whereas in the popular, I guess, idea of yoga is just like kind of like stretching.
Right, that's I think everyone's like basic understanding of it, and you know, and like it goes so much deeper than that. And I have to say I haven't been practicing since my kid, but it's just like when you're like really in the thick of it and doing it, it's like amazing, But if you're like really like eating Ayurvedic, doing having your either 2 hour or whatever, doing the full cycle of a yoga practice. It's it's powerful, and then also it's like it's funny because I think a lot of people think like yoga comes from it does come from India, but all the stretching actually comes from like the UK and like Sweden.
No way.
Yeah, in like 19th century because of the silk trade.
That's funny.
And there was Indian students going to the universities and stuff, and so they would bring it down, and maybe not the silk trade, but the relationship between those 3 countries.
Yeah, like that aspect of it might not even have been really emphasized.
Because I think before yoga was just really just like laying down and like kind of meditating, and maybe there was like a sun salutation, but before that, and then it was like just gymnastic stretching basically, and then they took it and then expanded it.
What is Ayurvedic cooking or eating?
It's basically it's almost it's about like just creating food that's easy on your digestive system. And so there's three, I'm going to forget all the words right now, but there's three dosas, and that's like kind of your body type. And basically you're kind of like you're either one or one of two, and or you can be three, and you kind of eat within that like I think, what am I, Vata Pitta. And basically it's like, it's also like you burn fat, and your digestive's hot, so you need to like counter it with cold and stuff like that. But it's a really interesting way of eating, and you don't eat anything raw, all cooked.
In all of them, like
Regardless
of what.
regardless, yeah. And it's just like certain foods you don't like. There's no eating onions or garlic, and but then there's like people I talk to that are like Ayurvedic chefs, and they're like, yeah, don't eat coconut. But then you watch like a documentary, and then someone's like talking about like coconut will like heal you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like each food represents something for each organ. So it's really interesting, and it's like, it's kind of like the earliest medicine.
That's funny. Yeah, that's interesting too, because I read somewhere that certain Buddhist monks wouldn't, everyone knows or everyone thinks that Buddhist monks shouldn't be eating meat,
Right.
and don't eat meat or whatever, which is actually not even fully true. But I also read that some of them, you wouldn't even be allowed like garlic and like onion
Right.
shit that kind of like heats you up, and kind of like, they say it like interferes with meditation, which
Right.
I fucking fully believe, that shit like that affects your mood 100%. Like, it's almost like ridiculous that, not ridiculous, but like, it's crazy that we don't, like, you take a pepper and that shit is burning hot. Like, why is that? So when you eat that, if it's affecting your tongue in a certain way and making you feel like so hot that you're like sweating
Right.
from like a weird little seed, then clearly it's going to affect your
No,
you,
yeah,
because it's
definitely.
like chemicals. At the end of the day, that's what we are.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look at Thailand. I mean, they have some of the spiciest foods, and they have the hottest weather, but it's to combat with the weather. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, food's a really powerful thing, but I mean, and then it's also a real sensitive and intimate thing too. So, like, when you tell people something, they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to have your beliefs and kind of keep them to yourself. And or if someone's actually interested, then you share them, but not telling people,
not telling.
talking down.
Are you what do you follow a diet or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like plant-based,
Okay.
I try to be Ayurvedic, but it's really hard, especially with a kid and stuff, and just having a girlfriend and all that stuff. It makes it really tricky.
Yeah.
Because you got to eat for yourself, and if someone's not else on board and they're getting snacks, it's like really it's really like I don't have the willpower.
Yeah.
But it's really amazing if you do it. I mean, I've done like little like khichdi cleanses and stuff like that. But
Khichdi, what is that again? I've heard of that.
khichdi is like, it's basically a full complete protein. So you're eating lentils with rice, and then it's usually followed by carrots, green beans, cauliflower, and it's you're eating seasonally too. So it depends on the season, and also your body type, and it's just, and a bunch of spices, and basically it's just like a really easy thing to digest. And I cook it a lot, probably once a week, at least once a week.
Do you do fasting?
I intermittent fasting.
What's your scheme?
I mean, my scheme is just not in the mornings, but I wish it would be breakfast, lunch, no dinner. Because I've learned that when it's all about your digestive system, and when you don't eat dinner, you have a deeper sleep. And then if you have a deeper sleep, you get better rest, your body works more optimal. So it's better to do the lunch and then just prolong it. It's just hard because we're so like westernized and programmed to eat dinner, and not even eating, and we eat a big dinner, which is so stupid, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think eating like, and some things like I don't agree with the Ayurvedic world or whatever. I think eating fruit in the nuts and seeds and fruit in the morning is like the best thing for you. But everyone's different, so
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, I find it easier to fast throughout the day, but at night, like before I go to sleep, I want to just like, I want to honestly force it. That's just my natural intuition. I'm like, I feel like that's what I do. Then I go to sleep. But I know, like I've heard that you're not supposed to eat like hours before you go to sleep. But I find that
Yeah.
so hard. I find the fasting daytime is like, I'll usually fast until like, I'll train and shit and like do physical shit. And then I'll
Right.
fast until like 4 p.m., 5 p.m.
Wow.
But at night, I like need
yeah,
to eat.
yeah. Of course. Well, I mean, at that point, yeah, you do. But yeah, I mean, it's a 16-hour, 12-hour ordeal. But like I said, if you're able to do, the real key is not to eat dinner,
Yeah.
and you'll like see a huge benefit. But it's difficult, you know. So.
Yeah. So how has your view on food changed as you, I'm assuming like coming up skating, going on tours and shit, you probably were touring and just eating whatever, I assume.
Somewhat.
When you stopped doing that and kind of like started to, I guess, learn about all this stuff and get into this stuff, did that change your view on food and also like your view on your way of life?
Well, my mom was really strict on me as a kid about what I could eat and what I couldn't eat. And so I think maybe having that discipline through her made me a little more conscious. Like I wasn't allowed to eat Lay's chips, or if I were, they had to be baked, and I couldn't have soda or I couldn't have sugar cereals. So, you know, I was somewhat disciplined in that way. So it wasn't, and then I think at one time I was a vegetarian, and you know, for like a couple years, and then I went off and then came back on. So, going on tour was always rough because, I mean, I enjoy, like my grandma always cooked for me, and so I had like a positive relationship with food and like not eating junk. And so I think it was always kind of difficult for me when we go on these trips, because it'd be like, yeah, we're going to go to KFC. But then you kind of cave and you're like, all right, fuck it.
Yeah.
You know, so. But I mean, you know, just, I think there would be a point where, like, can we just get like a salad, please, or something? But then also, you see that America's different when you go into the middle of it. And you're like, oh shit, you really can't get
No, you really can't.
some of the shit, you know?
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. It's eye-opening, if anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there is a reason why everyone is obese, because the options are just not there. You know what I mean? I mean, of course, if you have to, it was actually always interesting when I was flowed for Toy Machine at Templeton before we had phones. We'd go to the hotel, I think, load all our stuff in the hotel. He'd grab a Yellow Pages and look at like vegetarian restaurants or markets, and then we would just go there. It's pretty fun at that point in your life. But yeah, I mean, it's rare out there.
Yeah, I mean, because especially during that era of no phones, it was vegetarian, vegan, plant-based, whatever you want to call it. It was way less accessible. Now there's I guess,
You can go Taco Bell and get it, or you can go Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not in the middle of America, but you know, you can. It's available way more, and people are more conscious of it than there were then.
yeah, I would hear stories of the Bad Brains
Right.
before everything, and they would just and like John Joseph of the Cro-Mags,
Right.
and they would kind of just travel with like huge vats in their van of like sprouted lentils, and like that's
crazy.
it, because they're for real like Ital Rastafarian, like
Right.
they're not gonna,
No. Right.
they're not. That's like kind of similar actually, because it's like plant-based, I think, but
Yeah,
it's
Ital.
also like they don't fuck with a whole bunch of shit, that even though it is, I guess, vegan.
Oh, Ital. I mean, that's the difference. So that's why, like, I say plant-based. Vegan is like, there's a bunch of bullshit out there that you can eat, like, you know, all the fake cheeses and all the fake meats and stuff. And there's a big kind of like divide of when you say plant-based to vegan, because, yeah, either plant-based is like actually made with forms of, I don't know, plants, obviously, where vegan is like, it's just junk. Basically,
Yeah.
it's the same shit. Basically,
No, I'm like-
you might be better off just eating normal shit.
Yeah, that's what I think about that. Like I see the vegan cheeses and like they have like weird like xanthan gum bases and stuff
Right,
that like we don't
right.
even know what that is.
Right.
But I'm like, yo, it's probably definitely better to just have regular cheese if you're at that point. Like,
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, I will say that I've like danced with the idea of just eating eggs again, because it's like the chicken's gonna produce it regard. Like I eat honey, but an egg is like also like it comes out of the animal, but it's not hurting the animal.
Mhm.
It's gonna do it regardless. But then someone was like, well, I think they're bred to have an egg every day, which isn't natural. But
yeah.
I haven't done the research, so I don't know if that's true or not.
When did you start following a plant-based diet, and I guess why?
Probably I don't know. I bought John Joseph's book. I think 2016.
The meat is for pussies.
Yeah, and I was like, let me read this real quick. I want to try this because I love watching his YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to try let's see what this is. And it's like kind of the same thing with like sobriety, right? Like someone's just like, I'm gonna try for a month, you know what I mean? And they're like, actually, I'm gonna try for 3 months, 6, 9, just I got a year. Let's see if I can do 2, and then just why do I fucking drink,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, his YouTube channel is pretty sick. I
I don't even know he had one.
What videos would you watch of his?
His Munchie, like there's a Munchie
yeah.
one where he's just like, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
And I think I would see maybe like Vice articles of him, but never read them.
Yeah.
And I would see him around doing his like punk rock tour or whatever, hardcore tour. I'm like, who is this like curmudgeon guy? You know what I mean? I love John, but yeah. I was just like, who is this guy? And then like I think I like stumbled upon his Munchies thing, and I was like, wow, this guy's hilarious.
Yeah. We had him on the show when we first started.
Right.
And he showed up to my place that used to be in Flushing, Queens, right near the Globe, and he had like Dickies on and like Hokas.
Right.
But like Dickies like cut shorts, like
Yeah.
And then he was like, all right, like when we finished the episode, like it was cool, like we talked shit and stuff, and he was like, all right, yo, I'm about to bounce, and I'm like, all right, cool, like you need like a ride or like you need anything? 'Cause he's going back to the LES, and he's like, nah, like, and he like takes off his like shirt, and under it he had like a rash guard, essentially, like a running
he's gonna
shirt.
run there, right?
And he was like,
Psycho.
just tell me like the general direction. I'm like, it's just that way till you hit like, Queensboro Bridge. And he was like, all right, yo, you know what I mean? Like later. And he started jogging.
Right. I think I would talk to him like, dude, because he's like, oh, my fucking, from like all those Iron Men. He's like, my ankle, my this. I'm like, dude, you might fucking want to like start doing yoga. You know what I mean? Like get it like really like fixed. Also, to circle back, I think why I got so heavily into yoga, I rolled my ankle on a skate trip, and I fucking rolled it like pretty bad. And I was going to PT, and it was like once or twice a week, and I was like fucking it like $200 a time, and you're just like, this is adding up real fast. And I think it was like $200 for the month at a yoga studio. And I was like, all right, let me just try this really quick. And like by the month, and yeah, I was just like, I was doing an hour of a class, so therefore my ankle just was like feeling way better. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna try 2 months. And the fucking same thing with the plant-based diet or the drinking. Is just like, I'm gonna try to keep going, you know what I mean? And I think I was like doing it for a year straight, and I'm like, all right, and then more curiosity.
So you
arised.
feel like yoga healed your body in ways just outside of the ankle, like personally?
Well, it's just that everything's connected, right? So it's just like, and I now looking back, I'm like, oh, that was probably not the right yoga. But looking back, yeah, I mean, I think it's just like we're all, everything's connected. So if like something, I don't know, it's like interior chain, I think they call it, it's like from the toes to your shoulders, like all the way up. Like you gotta like get everything working first from the feet up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like your knee could be fucked up, and it could literally just be something in like your like hip.
Yeah. I mean, they say hips are like really the fucking ones you want to like really focus on. But I've been doing that like knees over toes guys program, and that I think that's working a lot.
Yeah.
But I think also just wear and tear on my joints from all the years of skating, because I just like went out with my friend to film some stuff, and Yeah, and I was sore. I was like, oh, I think I fucked my knee up, and I was like, oh no, it's just really sore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was like light skating,
Yeah,
like
that's
light.
Yeah, I do a lot of jiu-jitsu, and like we were talking about, and I was listening to like this podcast Joel Tudor did, and he was talking about how like, yo, he's telling you like you have to, yoga is like the one thing that's gonna fix your body. Like part of being a samurai is knowing how to heal, like how to like say no and just chill. Like you're so used to like go 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 go, and I was like, cause I don't really do yoga. Like I do my stretches before and after jiu-jitsu, but I don't consider that yoga. I just consider it like movement exercises.
Right.
And it made me really want to, like, I feel some shit in my shoulder, and I don't know what it is. Like, I didn't get shoulder locked. Nothing even happened, but there's something there in both of them that was not there before. Like, when I do a certain movement, I feel it. And I'm like, I just don't really know, like, oh, what yoga do I do? Like, I don't want to do I want to, like, do something legit, you know?
No, just start light. I mean, I don't even go to classes anymore. You know, I just watch, like, some, you know, Indian guy on YouTube, you know, and just whatever, you know, it's just like, and also it's like the truest version of it, you know, so you're getting like breathing, meditation, and yoga. I mean, that's not in the right order, but you're getting all three of the things that like is about yoga, and you know, it works. I mean, for your shoulders, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have shoulder issues just from like surfing, I think some of it's just like, oh, it's weak. You know what I mean? Like I started like lifting, but just like light weights, but just like having that structural muscle also has made my shoulders feel a lot better.
It's like a brace that's just built in.
Right. I mean, it's just like if you don't use it, you lose it, literally. And so like if some, you know, that's another thing is like certain things are just weak, so other things are gonna like start pulling.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult, but that's what I guess yoga is really amazing for, is like it's a full body immersion of like, you know, doing all the poses, and you're getting kind of that every time I like watch or do something that's not yoga, that's like gymnastic based, you're like, oh, this is doing this, but you could do this through yoga. You know what I mean? It's just the only thing is I wasn't getting, maybe I think I started experimenting and trying to understand other forms of exercise because I wasn't getting flexible and I didn't understand why. And
even with the yoga?
Yeah. But you're doing static poses, and you need to do the other version of whatever static would be. I can't think right now. Sorry. Like lifting weights and stuff, and like creating like what do they call it? Like movement. What is it?
Like dynamic.
Yeah, exactly.
How'd you get into surfing? You've always kind of done it, right? But you
I just
got
grew
more
up
into it.
Yeah. Well, my dad surfed. My uncle shaped. I lived by the beach, but I hated surfing as a kid. And I think I got into it I think I always was like embarrassed that like basically my family could surf, but I couldn't do it. And I think there was like something that just like wouldn't like eat at me, like, God damn it. And I think I got into it in LA, and then I don't know, I fell out of it. And then my friend, there's a shop, Token, next to Labor. And I think from just going to Labor and then kind of being like, oh, check out the surf shop, always was like kind of curious and always like liked surfing. I think I saw maybe a Patagonia video of Keith Malloy like just going down the line like pumping. I was like, wow, that looks so fun. Like I want to do that. I want to at least be able to do that. You know what I mean? And so I think I just took it up in New York, and we just go to Rockaway.
Oh, you do the Rockaway?
Yeah. And then it like, you know, it was just like, oh, you know, like looking at your phone and being like, oh, it's green, let's go. And couldn't find a ride, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm buying a car. Then bought a car, and then I was like, it's not consistent enough, I'm going to fucking LA. And then like COVID happened, and yeah, now we're here. But
how is surfing in New York?
It's the best. It's great. It's good when it's good, I'll say that much. It's not consistent, but like it's really fun. It's like one of my favorites actually, and I think it's becoming a place that people are recognizing now. I mean, there's kids that are like winning contests that are from New York. I mean, I never surfed Jersey because I'm goofy, but I don't know. It's like when it works well, and it's fun.
Yeah, there's a scene at Rockaway.
Oh yeah, big time. And I'm sure there's even more of a bigger scene now than there was when I left.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, it's definitely like, yeah, it's fun. It's a fun wave when the right swell hits it.
You still doing it right now?
I haven't, just because of my newborn, but besides that, yeah, I was going like 3 times a week. But I mean, I was like approaching it like like skating, or I'm gonna get good. I'm gonna fucking go 3 times a week. I don't care if it's good. I'm gonna figure out, And I mean, I was definitely getting better, and then I think it was a bigger day, and I like landed on my fin. I kicked out, wave pushed me back. My board rotated over, and my shin landed on the fin. I was like, "Oh, that really hurt." Looked at it; it was a huge cut on my shin. I was like, "Oh, great! I have to go to the hospital."
Yeah, you can get fucked up surfing.
Oh, I have way more fucking scars from surfing than skating.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, like all my scars are from surfing.
I'm pretty sure Danny Way broke his neck surfing.
That's common too. I mean, it's not common, but it's like, yeah, I know a few people have broken their necks from surfing.
Are you just hitting like coral reefs? Like
No, because it's all sand here mostly, and it's just it's not knowing. I mean, it's just like there was a pro surfer that just died recently. It's just like things just happen that are unpredictable. You know what I mean? And you can't, as much as control as you think you have no control.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's like another. I think like doing meditation, learning or going surfing, and then kind of being like, oh, like I think I was surfing by myself, and then like I think I caught some wave by myself or whatever. And like sat there and like, oh, that was meditation right there, at like the most minimal, whatever, how long the wave was. But it was like I wasn't thinking of anything else. I was just skating, running, jiu-jitsu. And, it's all meditation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think surfing kind of brought that to my attention, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then like, I mean, there's so many other things, but
yeah.
But I think yoga and surfing have like taught me so many valuable lessons of just like personal growth. I mean, I'm sure skating does too, but maybe it's so close that you don't recognize it,
Yeah. No, are you still meditating? Do you still meditate on a daily basis? Do you have like a routine that you follow, or even a specific type of meditation that you follow?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of, for a long time I was doing Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian meditation, which is it's a mantra, and you repeat it's I love you, I'm sorry, thank you. Wait, wow, I can't. Wait, is it I love you? I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Sorry. So that's the 4, and you just keep repeating that, and and you maybe focus on a certain person that you have maybe some animosity to or whatever. And
are you doing anything with your breathing, or?
No, you just focus on, and if you get distracted, you focus on your breath, and then kind of get back into the, I remember going to a class and someone saying like, it's like if you get distracted, it's like you're getting off the train at a station, and all you need to do is get back on the train. So, and the train is your breathing.
Yeah.
So,
how was it doing all this stuff in New York, in a very densely populated city where you don't really think of New York when you think of meditation? You kind of think of like exactly the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing because it's so densely populated with all different cultures that there's really like a lot of things you can like find. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of beauty of obviously New York, as we all know. So like there's like an Osho Center over in Union Square, and it was just his form of meditation. It's an hour long, 15 minutes divided to 5 of the things that you do. It's like called Kundalini. Oh, he has a bunch of different ones, but the one I went to was the Kundalini one, not to be confused with Kundalini yoga, and it's like, I think you jump for 15 minutes, then you scream and let like all your anger out, and then you stand still, and then there's 2 other ones, but I'm forgetting. But I mean, there's so many different like avenues you can go down and like venture into in New York, which is like funny because you wouldn't think. So it was great.
Yeah.
Compared to here, where you're like, oh fuck, I gotta drive to the west side to go do this.
No, there really is so much in New York. When I was a really 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 young little kid, maybe from the age of straight up like 0 to the age of like 8 years old. My father, he's from Ecuador, but he's like very culturally Chinese. Like his mom and dad were from China,
Oh wow.
and somehow they found themselves in Ecuador. But like he would take me because he was super into martial arts and like not really like jujitsu or mixed martial arts how they have today, but more so like traditional. Like he would do kung fu a lot, and he would take me to the Shaolin Temple that had opened up in Flushing, and it was these monks who literally came to America to spread Buddhism. Like that was their whole purpose,
Right.
and then some of them ended up staying here, but really never assimilated. Largely probably because one, they're actual monks, and two, because of the language barrier.
Right.
And I would go there, and I would see them like with their shaved heads, and I found out they were vegetarian, and I thought that was mad weird because I'm super young, so I was like, wait, why is what like I don't understand. Like I thought this is just food, you know what I mean? And
Right.
they would do
I see.
they would do a lot of like Qigong.
Yeah.
And I remember going to these like essentially like seminar demonstrations that they would do for the temple to like get people to want to join.
Mhm.
They would have like a section where they do martial arts, and then a whole like a library section,
Mhm.
and they had like a essentially like a Buddhist section.
Mhm.
And then downstairs was like the kitchen, and they would feed you vegetarian meals, almost like a church, but like they're doing martial
Right,
arts.
yeah,
You know, it's
right.
like the community would get together, and that was like my first. It's funny. Like that was like my first exposure to one, martial arts and what I believed that it was and could be. Which first and foremost to me, even though I do like more like I guess mixed martial arts, it was. I believe it as like a really deep spiritual practice, or I feel like that's something that's beautiful about it. That's like the art aspect. So when I see like the breathing shit, like I really relate to that, and I get extremely hyped. That shit like gives me the same feeling as when I was younger and I'd see like Jim Greco doing a skate trick.
Right.
Hearing about like that it's like the exact same thing, even though it's skating and martial arts or whatever. Like,
Right.
but anyways, I saw that you were somewhere. I saw that you did like Qigong, or you were practicing Qigong, and I was like, dude, what is?
Right.
So yeah, what
Right.
what is that?
Qigong.
Yeah, and like
I mean,
how
it's
did you
just
get
like
involved?
I think it's just another form of like Tai Chi in a certain sense. It's the Chinese version, I guess. I mean, to like stupefy it. But yeah, I mean, it's just all about like movement, and it's their version of yoga, So like yoga started in India with Hinduism, and then it crawled up, going through Pakistan all the way through Himalayas and China and all those places, whatever, in the 10th century or something. I don't really know, but and that's just their form of yoga, really. I mean, to break it down, and just like literally, like if you don't use it, you lose it. And if you go to Chinatown, they're always fucking swinging their arms, in a certain way, and it's true. And you're like, they're always like fit, you know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
never like overweight or anything. And the other thing is, with all these cultures, they eat a really balanced diet, right? And it's like, right now I'm kind of like interested in like exploring like Persian food, right? And just like figuring out like how I cook a lot now, and so it's just like, how do I I just want to learn like a couple dishes that I can like kind of cultivate and make my own, but they all have meaning, and it's all about being balanced,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? Like when you look at Western food, it's not like balanced, because it's like not, this isn't doing this, or you're not getting your protein. It's just like, it's kind of emptiness.
Yeah.
Sorry to switch, but anyways.
No worries.
But yeah. So yeah, Qigong, going back, yeah, it's their form of movement medicine, or their form of exercise that you can do till you're fucking 120 or whatever, But it's really amazing, and I thought it was gonna take like, I thought that was gonna be like the next big thing, but it just hasn't taken shape yet.
Yeah, my dad has so many books on Qigong.
Oh really?
So
It's amazing.
He has a whole library downstairs, and I would just come up and just be seeing that over and over and over.
Right.
So yeah, that was interesting. How are you feeling? How are you feeling now? You just. How old is your child? You just had it, right?
Yeah, 5 months.
Oh, cool!
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah, yeah.
How is that? And you also moved out of New York, relatively recently back to LA. So how's
Right.
all that been?
It's been cool. LA was kind of like I think I was just having trouble in New York where I was just like I'm not really using the city as like full capacity. I'm not like a lot of my friends got priced out and moved and they couldn't afford it anymore. My older friends, and I wasn't really skating with the younger kids, and I just kind of felt isolated in a weird way. And so, and I really was into surfing, and I was like, I want to surf more. And I'm like, I'm gonna go visit my dad. And I think I had spent like all of January and well, not December, but most of December and January. I went back to New York, and I'm like, it's fucking cold. And Fashion Week, I was like, oh, cool, it's fun. I'm seeing people, and then like that stopped. And I'm like, oh wait, there's no one around actually that I hang out. I don't see anyone anymore. And then I think I just was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go in March for my birthday and just like buy a one-way ticket and see like, just like hang out until I get bored. And COVID happened basically, and then I bunked up with my dad and my grandpa, and basically didn't leave. And I knew my girlfriend before she was my girlfriend. We started hanging out, had a baby, and now we're here.
Yeah, how's it feel?
It's amazing. It's obviously a change. It's a big change. There's a lot of adulting that comes with it, as you would imagine. But it's an amazing feeling. You know what I mean? Emotions that you didn't think you would have or could have, and obviously seeing this thing that you made. It's all the cliches you hear, but until it happens to you, you won't know.
Yeah. Wow.
So, but I mean, it's just like, I mean, I'm all for it, and I'm excited to show them things, and yeah, I know it just puts things into perspective as well. Also, things like, fuck, I wasted a lot of time doing dumb shit that I could have, like, I wish I had that free time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you always hear older people say it, and you're just like, oh, shut up. But now you're like, fuck. You're obviously your window just keeps getting smaller and smaller. And also, I mean, we don't have to talk about like fucking American economics, but yeah, it just like things are like getting real fast.
Yeah, and I get your priorities probably shift in one way or the other.
Yeah, so, but it's great. I mean, I can't wait until he's a little older. But like it's crazy because you're with this thing basically. It's like a puppy, but like it's taking form and personality traits, and you're like, oh wow, you're like watching this whole like thing become its own person.
So is fatherhood now taking up the majority of your time?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't have time to do stuff.
Yeah.
Or like I don't have time to like just be curious and like, oh, I'm gonna explore this. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I don't even have time for the things I actually like to do. Right now?
Are you juggling like? You're still doing your two companies, 907 Bianca Chandon.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? I mean, I'm sure it's fucking difficult. Doing those two even without
right.
the whole family.
No, it's definitely very challenging right now. Just finding time to do it, and just it's very low staffed, so it's not like, yeah, it's challenging to say the least. But
it is what it is.
It is, there's nothing you can do about it,
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, again, he's just like, yeah, I mean, I got to make this work now. You know what I mean? It's not like dragging your feet and like, oh, I don't like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it just makes everything, your focus just gets sharper in some weird, strange way when you're not sleeping at all,
Yeah, I mean, there's probably some like biological thing that occurs as well.
Well, what's so weird is I keep thinking like, oh yeah, sleep's so big. We talk like it's this huge like focus point right now is like sleep, and you're like, there's got to be, like you just said, like some biological thing that happens with your child where you're like, yeah, you're not getting sleep, but I guess you're creating like your own micro community, which like makes you live longer.
Yeah.
So.
Which is sick.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. If you're healthy, it's sick.
Yeah.
If you're like, that's the other thing. You're like, fuck, I want to be strong to keep up with my kid. And so, yeah, it's a trip.
Yeah.
I mean, to say the least, but it's great. I can't, I'm excited for it.
Oh yeah, congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, like money's not coming in like it used to, and like it doesn't even matter though. That's the funny thing. You're like, you're like, fuck, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess if your priorities are where your priorities are, but
yeah,
it's just funny how things kind of shift. And you're like, I don't know. It's just there's so much reflecting. You know what I mean? That's really comes down to it. It's just like you're just reflecting your own childhood and like how things happen to you, and you're like, I'm gonna try and make sure that doesn't happen to him, and what is his childhood gonna look like, and what are the things I need to like try to steer away from. Like a big thing is like, do you let them like stare at an iPad or iPhone? But these kids like learn so fast. You're like, am I like hindering his ability to learn and whatnot? But then you're gonna make his fucking addictive personality or whatever. I don't know.
Can't imagine having that be the main toy to play with. But
I mean,
at the same time, it's like if you don't, you're almost like left behind by society.
Well, I mean, I think it's designed that way, to be honest.
Yeah, like I mean, when Steve Jobs made the iPhone, I think one of the ad slogans was like "Your life in your pocket."
Right.
And that was kind of the point. The point was to change the world.
Right.
Which occurred.
Right.
So,
I mean, I don't think anyone could have predicted what would happen, but it's scary. It's really scary because I mean, we're all on social media to a certain degree, and that thing's like built like a casino now, where you can't get off it, and yeah, you're just like, fuck, I don't want my kid to be like me. But you're like, fuck, I'm like addicted to it. You know what I mean?
But maybe it's different if they're born with it.
100%. Because there's a reference point that I have of not having it. But then you watch. I like watch things on Instagram of people being like, yeah, I fucking disconnected from all of it.
Yeah.
I think he was more talking about news, but he was just like, and I was so happy. He's like, just things didn't like occur to me that I wasn't stressed out about. It was just like I unplugged. And it's really, really, I've done it. I did it for like 3 weeks once. I got I think I had a Samsung and I lost it. And then I was like, I'm not buying a fucking Apple phone. It was right when they changed, like, remember like when they made like I think they made the charging really bad.
Yeah.
And it would drop out.
And
I was just like, that was like such a like, fuck you to me, that I was like, fuck this brand. And so I was like, I'm going Samsung. And I loved my Samsung, actually, weirdly. It was just like so hard for work and whatever. I lost it, and then I had a flip phone, and it didn't even work. I was like, fine, whatever. I just won't have a phone. And I would just like type to people from my office or from my house, like, hey, I'm going to meet you at this time. Please be there.
Yeah.
Don't like, I won't have a phone. And it was actually great.
It's probably relieving.
Oh, and it was amazing. Anyone that's listening to this, fucking, I recommend it. You know what I mean? I need to do it. Yeah, we should do cleanses. You know what I mean?
Like I need to do it too, but the thing is, it's almost impossible.
No, you can't. That's the thing. You can, but just use your computer.
Yeah.
If you have a laptop.
Yep.
If you don't, I don't know. Or use something. The other thing I started doing, is if it's tethered to the wall, it's the perfect balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't have it on you.
Yeah, because you always have that shit on you, no more than like 3 feet away from you, 24/7 at all hours of the day.
For the
when I go to sleep and I wake up, I can just do this.
Yeah, no.
Exactly
I put it in another room now.
Somehow.
Yeah.
My hand can find exactly where it was.
At least I'm like, you go in the other room. But I mean, it's hard, and that's like, it's hard when you like. I try not to look at it first thing, waking up, and there's such a big difference of focus. Because if you're like, obviously going through that, or even emails, you have to make micro decisions, and you only have like, I don't know how many decisions. I think it's like 20,000 decisions a day or 40,000. I can't remember. I mean, that's like, oh, I'm opening the door, all that, and then you're just like taxed after that. So it's really hard at night to like get away from it. But
it's wild.
Anyways,
but thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate
Thank you
it immensely.
Yeah, Cool. Thank you for having me on
Thank
here.
you. Peace.